Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Planescape Torment. Okay, I went ahead and learned a bunch of spells for Nameless One. So I've got Armor, Blindness, Chromatic Orb, Fist of Iron, which only he can use, Friends, Identify, Magic Missile, Pacify, and Shield. That's at level 1. Level 2, Blood Bridge, Ice Knife, Strength, and Swarm Curse. And I memorized Ice Knife and Swarm Curse. And I have some at other levels, just because they were there. I copied what was remaining that Dakon could get into his spellbook. And that's about it right now. Alright, so, let's go ahead and get back to it. Now, I did notice something that I'd identified the Lady of Pain ragdoll a while back, and I thought I looked at it, but now I see it has an option, Talk to Item. So let's go ahead and do that. The years haven't been kind to this tiny ragdoll. It is coming apart at the seams, and it looks like its threads are unraveling. It is obviously intended to be a replica of the Lady of Pain, but the button eyes and its plush softness don't strike much fear into your heart. Aw, you're just a cute little Lady of Pain, aren't you? Aren't you? Yes, you are. Truth, oh great Lady of Pain, goddess of Sigil, hear my plea for aid and help me in my hour of need. Joke, oh great Lady of... yeah, that seems bad. Aw, you're just a cute little Lady of Pain, aren't you? Aren't you? Yes, you are. The doll does not respond to your coaxing, merely stares at you with its button eyes. Joke. Truth. As you're about to say the words, you suddenly feel a strange crawling sensation in the back of your skull. With it comes a premonition that saying those words will place you in terrible danger. Even feeling as you do could prove dangerous. Let's put the doll away for now. Now we know. Oh. You only have one option to do that. The reason I quick saved was because I thought that I'd rested after I made my save. So let me go ahead and double check. Yeah, it is. Alright, well. Huh. Okay. Well, whatever. Alright, let's go,
All right.
rest again. I thought about, giving some of the spells to Ignis, but I decided no, because I don't really like them. Yeah, that'd be nice. Thank you. Alright, rested for 8 hours. Let's go ahead and leave. Also trying to think if there were any other, any stores that sold scrolls around that might be useful. Can't think of any offhand. Alright, let's head down here, see if we can get this legacy or find out some more about it. Although I'm kind of suspecting that what was stolen was the legacy that we were supposed to be getting.
I'm gone.
Greetings, Giannis. I had some questions for you. Giannis, there is a sensory stone in the sensorium that contains a fragment of your daughter's experiences. His eyes blaze with hope. There is? But in which one? You must tell me. It is one of the sensate sensory stones. If you are not a sensate, you could not gain access. He thinks for a moment. I must find a way. Perhaps they would make an exception for our father. If you wanted, I could speak to someone. I'm certain they would make an exception in your case. I do not wish to break the sensate's laws. Nevertheless, I could speak to someone and see if something else might be done. They might. Now... If you wanted, I could speak to someone. I'm certain they would make an exception in your case. I'm not certain of that, actually.
Updated my journal.
Giannis looks relieved. If you could, I would be most grateful. I'll go settle the matter shortly. Now, in the sensory stone, she left a legacy number for me. Ah! Giannis nods. It seems you spoke true. My daughter was known to you then, he sighs. Hold a moment. I will see what was left for you. I will wait.
Updated my journal.
8,000 experience points and 4 items. All of the articles are accounted for. Giannis is holding 3 scrolls in his hands. I had no idea she had established a legacy here. He's staring at the items, almost hypnotized. Here you are. If I may I read them, sir? Let me read them first, then I shall decide. Of course, Giannis seems broken. But please, I beg you, I have very little left to remember my daughter by. I'm gonna vow. I shall not forget. I will return after I've read them. Let's go ahead and take a look. We also got an item. Dayanara's ring. Dayanara's wedding ring. Usable only by the Nameless One. +3 armor class versus piercing. +1 armor class. +1 to all saves. It's gonna be better than that. Can't you just put this over a tooth or something? No. So that works. Apparently she gave me 2 heart charms. Healing scrolls and Dayanara's legacy. My love, if you are reading this, then the tragedy I have seen has come to pass. I have died, and you have remained to suffer the loss. Know this, my love. I know why you were forced to shield your feelings from me. You sought to protect me from the terrible burden you carry with you. The distance you kept between us was your way of protecting me, and the brief moments when we were alone and you let your feelings be known, that was when I knew you cared for me. Carry no regrets with you, carry no guilt, for I came with you on your haunted journey of my own accord, and no matter how death came for me, I know that you did everything in your power to save me. Our lives are intertwined, my love, and death shall not be a wall between us. For my sight has seen what is to come, only in staccato segments, but it is enough for me to know that we will be separated for a time, but we shall be reconciled again. Thus do not see my death as a farewell, but only as an interval before we meet again. Carry my ring with you, and these other pieces of me, and think of me. Keep me in your mind and heart, and that will be the beacon that brings us together, forever. Dayanara. Healing Scroll heals 33 hit points. This tissue-thin vellum scroll was part of Dayanara's legacy. The scroll is neatly rolled up and wrapped with a red ribbon. When the ribbon is opened, the healing magic contained within the scroll is released. The scroll will heal even the most critical of wounds. It disintegrates into powder when used. Well, that's pretty nice. I forgot to leave the fist irons back in my thingy. Okay. You see Giannis. He turns as you enter and his eyes fill with light, hopefully. Ah, at last, were you able to convince them to grant me access to their sensorium? I had some questions that I needed to answer first. Here's Dayanara's legacy, as I promised. Giannis takes the scroll and studies it. There is a long silence. Then he slowly looks up at you. You meant very much to my daughter. She was willing to give up her life for you. I believe that is the case.
Updated my journal.
Giannis hands the scroll back to you. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your kindness. It is the least I can do. Perhaps there is something else you can help me with. No. I mourn the loss of your daughter. I hope her words gave you some comfort. Farewell. Alrighty, let's go see if we can get him into... the sensorium as well. Come along, people. Stop getting hung up. I had some questions. There's a man, Janus, whom I was hoping you would grant temporary access to the private sensorium. And for what reason would we allow such a thing? Because one of the stones there contains a fragment of his daughter's experiences. She died far away from home, not having seen him in a long time, and he mourns her loss deeply.
Updated my journal.
Splinter nods, thinks for a moment, then nods again. Yes, we shall allow this Janus to enter the private sensorium. Well escorted, of course. You may tell him he has permission. My thanks. Farewell, Splinter.
I'm gone.
Doing good deeds. Also, experience points. I still need about 1,500, give or take. I have no idea what that sound clip just was. Is there someone at that bar that I haven't talked to? Something Ponder Thought? I think that might be the case. Yes, they agreed to give you access to your daughter's sensory stone. I thank you, good sir. Thank you. I am in your debt. It was no trouble, Giannis. Please, go see the experiences of your daughter. I think they might ease your troubles.
Updated my journal. I feel stronger.
Excellent. I was hoping for that. Alright, one more hit point gained. Saving throws have improved. Really? At that level? Okay. If you say so, game. Alright, we've got another slot here. I guess I'll get this, Fist of Iron, since only I can learn it. Nope. There we go, I can get Ball Lightning. Excellent. Of course, I still need to rest, but that can wait until later.
I'm gone.
Able Ponder Thought. This older man looks somewhat bookish. His clothing and accessories are extremely clean, neat, and well cared for, and he often pauses to brush some flecks of dust or lint off of them. A symbol resembling a stylized dagger piercing upwards through a flame is embroidered upon his tunic. Greetings! The man's eyes pass over you, gleaming as they fix on Mort. Oh, I say, would you look at that, a floating skull! Mort turns and looks behind him. Oh, where? Where? The man gasps. By the unjust laws of Tourney the Merciless! Who? He suddenly covers his mouth and looks at Fall from Grace apologetically. Sorry. The man was a horrible tyrant, now long dead. His name should never be spoken so. 'Tis rather vulgar. My deepest apologies, Lady Grace. I did not mean to offend. She smiles slightly. It is no matter, Abel. I am certain only Tourney would have been offended by the comment. And as you know, his subjects buried him alive more than 3 centuries ago. Yes, you are probably right. Excuse me. He turns back to Mort. But behold, a skull, buoyant, levitating off the ground, cognitive of its environment, possessing hearing, speaking, and seeing capabilities. He turns to you as if you were suddenly a confidant. This is truly one of the reasons that the plains shall never become dull to me, sir. And when you think you have seen everything, the plains show you yet another corner to peer around, and he raises his hands gloriously. Suddenly, whole new wondrous vistas are open to you. A whole new world? I can't remember the rest of that lyric, sorry. Actually, the talking floating skull thing is quite common, right up there with self-resurrecting amnesiacs scouring Sigil for their lost identities. I'm not sure if Mort qualifies as a wondrous vista. Going with the first one. The man ignores you, looking to Mort for it instead. I say, skull, he begins. Mort gasps. Look behind you, another floating skull. Let Mort have his fun. The man seems to have forgotten you entirely, instead turning in shock to look for this other floating skull. No, where? Right where I'm pointing, there. Where? I cannot see it. Mort speaks with mock exasperation. You just missed it. A whole parade of them. Probably never happen again in a million revolutions of the Great Ring. He turns and harumphs. I sense you also possess a peculiar degree of mockery. Mort bobs slightly, as if shrugging. I prefer to refer to it as keen insights into human nature. Let's get the man's attention. He suddenly seems to see you for the first time. The man's eyes widen. By the unjust laws of tourney that... He catches himself looking apologetic. I say, are you all right? You look... He fumbles for the words. Hurt. I'm all right. It hurts to look at him, it does. Very amusing, Anna. I just had some questions, sir. An odd comment from someone with what looks to be a giant rat's tail sprouting from her bottom. No. I'm sure it's more like an opossum's tail. Very amusing, Anna. The man nods eagerly. Of course. I'm always happy to answer what questions I can, young sir. What do you know of the blood? That's, like, random. I had questions about you. Me, certainly. Who are you? Why, my name is Amble Ponderthought. I had some questions about you. What do you do here? I passed my administrator exam just recently and have achieved the status of an A9, a research consultant in the Hall of Records, one of the many aides specializing in Sigil's physical laws and history. I research topics and laws of interest to others. It is quite fascinating, really. I had some questions about you. What's that symbol embroidered on your tunic mean? Why, it is a symbol of the Fraternity of Order. We are responsible for much of the lawmaking and running the courts here in Sigil. Many judges, advocates, and clerks are members of our order, and we are pleased to be able to help enforce Sigil's laws and keep things orderly. We make a strident effort to learn all laws, whether they pertain to Sigil, the Plains, or the multiverse itself. What does the Fraternity of Order believe?
Updated my journal.
The Fraternity of Order believes that the multiverse is governed by laws. When one knows all the laws, one will understand the multiverse. That is our goal. By understanding the laws, their limits, we learn to avoid certain laws. If you don't mind me asking, what sort of benefits are in the position? Well, our fraternity allows us to read languages quite easily, and we may use some rules of the multiverse on occasion to suit our benefits. I had some other questions about you. Actually, I had other questions. I had questions about this place. I'll admit I know little of this part of the Clerk's Ward, sir, but please ask. Why is it called the Clerk's Ward? It is the seat of much of Sigil's record halls and administration. The staff of these places give the ward its name. Many clerks, scribes, priests, bureaucrats, and administration officials live in this ward. That's some other questions. What's of interest around here? There's one of the finest advocates in Sigil located here. The Civic Festall, home of the Society of Sensation, is also located nearby. He lowers his voice. And the brothel, sir, of slaking intellectual lusts. Tell me of the advocate. He is one of the Fraternity of Order, though his time there has ebbed somewhat since the unfortunate troubles he has experienced. I am not one to speak of them. His residence is just across the way, south and east of here. I had other questions. Lots of interest. Tell me of the fest hall. 'Tis a beautiful structure that is both the headquarters of the Society of Sensation and acts as a hall for the arts here in Sigil in the Plains. It is an opera house, museum, art gallery, wine shop, tavern, training hall, theater, sensoriums. Many things can be found there. I already know about those, so I'm not going to ask him. Tell me of the brothel. He nods, looking somewhat embarrassed. Yes, well, I am known to go there, for the conversation, of course. He turns to Fall from Grace. It is a noble pursuit you are engaged in, Lady Grace. I wish you would instruct your students in a more formal regimen, perhaps give them more of an overview in the city's laws and policies. Then they... Grace smiles, managing to politely interject. And why do you think you are always welcome, my good Abel? Also, I do want to point out that as being lawful neutral for Fall from Grace, I'm not actually sure that she would be allowed in the Society of Sensation. I thought they only allowed chaotics. I'll have to go check that again. That's been like jangling around in the back of my mind for a little while. He digests that for a moment, then nods, beaming. Thank you, Lady Grace. Questions. Lots of interest around here. Other questions. Do you know of any work available locally? None of the temporary sort, no. I had a question about something else. Tell me of the city. Questions about Sigil? Please, sir, ask whatever you like. Curious about the factions. Yes, there are 15 factions in Sigil. Once there were 49 factions. Then, about 600 years ago, the Lady of Pain let it be known that only 15 would remain. That was known as the Great Upheaval. He continues, and sure enough, in a fortnight, 34 of them perished or faded. Many thousands died by sword or by other means. Many were simply found dead. I myself am a member of the Fraternity of Order. Others include the Believers of the Source, the Dustmen, the Harmonium, the Mercy Killers, the Revolutionary League, the Society of Sensation, and the Chaositecs. I have some other questions about Sigil. I'm not planning on joining any, so curious about the Lady of Pain. The Lady of Pain, yes, she is the force behind Sigil, you know. Very impressive figure, but little is known about her. What is known about her? He begins ticking off the points on his figures. 1, she is not just a symbol of Sigil. She is, as some claim, she is very real and very dangerous. 2, she is believed to be the one that keeps the powers, deities, out of Sigil. As long as she is present, the powers cannot enter Sigil. Continue to listen. 3, she also prevents unauthorized teleporting and gating into and out of Sigil. It prevents the outer plane. It prevents the outer plane's creatures from bringing even more of their kind to Sigil outside the conventional routes. 4, she has never spoken to anyone. 5, she usurped control of Sigil from Aoskar, a power now believed dead. 6, anyone who threatens Sigil or her is punished either by falling beneath her shadow, which results in a series of invisible stab wounds that can kill even greater Betazu, or by being sent to the mazes from whence few ever escape. 7, she does not like to be worshipped. Those that do are often found with their skin missing. And lastly, the sight of her is believed to drive others mad. She stole control of the Sigil from a power? How do you know this? The sight of her drives people mad. She stole control of Sigil. 'Tis the belief of my order. You'd said the sight of her drives people mad? Yes, he ponders it for a moment. But I must add the caveat that I have never seen her. You understand. So how is it that you know she created Sigil? 'Tis the belief of my order. There's a contradiction there. I have other questions. What's outside of Sigil? No one knows, and it is not from want of trying. At the places where no true wall exists are solid walls for buildings with no windows that look beyond. Some claim to have climbed roofs and seen the outside of Sigil, but they can only describe the outside as nothing. He continues, that is an unacceptable explanation, but it still remains a mystery. It is rumored without fact that to step beyond Sigil's walls takes the traveler to a random plane, but this has not been confirmed. The Fraternity of Order has mounted many expeditions, and we have yet to retrieve concrete information. I have other questions. Where's daylight here come from? I don't see a sun. The haze can make it difficult to determine for certain, so I understand your difficulty. The light comes not from a sun, but from a gradual luminescence that fills the sky. It reaches a peak, called peak, then fades until Sigil is completely dark, called anti-peak. The source of luminescence is unknown, but it is most likely the lady's will. I think more likely that it is the, just a feature of the plane. I mean, if we're in the Outlands, then the same thing should apply to the Outlands. I'd have to go back and look at the Planescape material to see how it describes day and night there. I have other questions about Sigil. Anything else? What do you know of Razel Puzzlewell? Ravel, if she truly existed, and there is little to prove that she did, was a night hag, one of the inhabitants of the Grey Waste, one of the lower planes, and believed by some to be the worst of the lower planes. As the legend goes, Ravel was mazed several centuries ago. She was believed of being a mistress of many strange magics, and apparently her presence in Sigil constituted a threat to the lady. I'm afraid that I know little about her. I've already talked about mazing with other people, so I'm not going to ask him about that. What do you know of the Blood War? The long-standing war between the chaotic Tenari and the lawful Beta Zoo. It is a war of ideology that has raged ever since the two races crossed paths in the lower planes, and the multiverse has been in its shadow ever since. My Blood War history is somewhat rusty, I'm afraid, as there have been numerous clashes over the millennia. Alright, that's all I wish to know. Alrighty, what did we want to do next? Well, I could try going back down into the, under Sigil, see if there's any goodies, and certainly there's experience to be had down there. So I guess down we'll go again. Actually, it looks like it's about time to end the episode anyway, so maybe we'll do that in the next episode. And hopefully we won't die. I don't know what the hell those creatures are down there, but they are very, very annoying. Anyway, see you next time, everyone.